Let's take a look at graphing exponential equations, including their asymptotes. So we're going to start with 2 to the x minus 1. I started by just creating a t-chart with several x values and finding the corresponding y values, just so I had a reference point to check my work with. I also went over to a graphing calculator, I'm using desmos.com, and graph this equation just so I know what it should look like, and I want to check my work when I graph so that I can be sure it's correct before I submit my problem. We can see here based on the Desmos graph that the asymptote is at -1. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. So I'm going to click to enlarge the graph, and I'm going to start with my asymptote, or the dotted line. So I'm going to change to dotted, and I'm going to make a line. So I'm going to click the line tool, and that's going to be at -1. So they did not do that correctly, so it's clear. I want to put -1, and I want to put 2 points on that line. All right, so I have my asymptote. Next, I'm going to use my exponential graphing tool. So I'm going to click on the exponent tool, and I can see based on this that it hits the y-axis or has a y-intercept at 0, 0. So I'm going to put that there. And now I need to play with this. This does have a base of 2. I know that because in the equation the base is 2 to the x. You can change that as needed if your base number changes. And I'm going to shift this down 1 because of the -1. It's the equation y equals 2 to the x, but it has a a shift downward of 1. So I'm going to change this vertical shift to -1. Now I'm going to compare these two graphs. Let's see if I can pull them up side by side just to see. Okay, so I've got that, and I'm going to check just another point on the graph. I can see the point 2, x equals 2 corresponds to y equals 3. I'm just going to check that. 2, 3. All right, that seems about correct. It looks like it matches up correctly. I spot checked a point. You could spot check another point. I recommend spot checking ones that fall on, direct coordinate points, like this guy right here. He's the x equals 7, x equals 3, y equals 7. And I could go over here and check just to be sure. Yep, that one is also on the graph. So I'm pretty sure that this is correct. The last thing I want to do is I want to change this graph to be solid. So I'm just going to click on it and hit the solid line. So I have a solid exponential graph, a dotted asymptote. I'm going to save. I'm going to check what I have so far, and I'm doing great.